A funny thing happened every time Age of Empire Mobile released something new. A new hero come out, everybody wanted. A new ring come out, everybody wanted. A new formation come out, everybody wanted. And honestly, I used to think that was actually normal. New means stronger, stronger means better. Makes sense, right? But then I saw players talking about the new strategies ring, and what catch my attention wasn't actually the ring, it was the reactions. Because before most players even tested it, before we even make some kind of test of these rings, before most people even know exactly where it won't fit, players were already talking about resetting other rings. And that's when I start wondering something. Why are we so quick on assuming the old investments is suddenly bad? Because that is completely different decision. Buying something new is easy. Destroying something old is where things get dangerous. Then I notice another pattern. Most rings discussions immediately become power discussions. Damage, protection, counters, meta. Everybody wants to know which ring is the strongest. But I almost never hear a player ask a different question. Which ring give me the most value for my account? And honestly, this is one of the most important questions a player should ask himself when he's basically playing Age of Empire Mobile. And those aren't always the same things. I mean, what is the most value for your account and which ring is going to give you more damage, protection, yada yada yada. Because imagine a ring is 10% stronger. Okay, imagine you have a ring that is 10% stronger. Sounds amazing, right? But what if getting that 10% costs months of resources? Months of resources. And what if delays another lineup? What if force a reset? What if become irrelevant when the meta change? Suddenly the decision look different. And that's where I think players are making a mistake. We evaluate a ring like we're buying a single item, but we're actually investing in a future. The Badger discussion is a perfect example. And the Badger discussion is about one of the rings that I still don't actually have. One player is already thinking about resetting it. Another player likes it. Another player thinks the new ring look better. Nobody is really wrong, but everybody is looking at the problem from today perspective. And strategy game punish that. Because today best answer is rarely tomorrow best answer. That reminds me of something I've been doing myself. There were times where I delayed the investment because I hear something stronger was coming. And I don't mean like, for example, you start playing Age of Empire Mobile and you see some guides on the YouTube where there is already tested. For example, you start playing and a lot of people is going to suggest you go with Wubu, for example. I mean, I don't talk about this type of new items. I'm talking about completely new items that has never been tested, but somebody hears something and I start saving for this something that may appear somewhere in the future. And I told myself I was being smart. I told myself I was planning ahead. But what actually happened, my account got weaker because where I was waiting for the perfect investment, other players were getting value from their already existed accounts. And that's when I realized something. Planning ahead and planning too far ahead are not the same thing. Now, you may actually, I'm going to share with you where I plan a little is For example, I'm getting my medals for a future hero, but I already have a lineup, for example. Then things got even more interesting because I saw players discuss rings that aren't even available on their server yet. Think about that for a second. They're changing decisions today because of the content they may not see for months. And honestly, one of the biggest traps in strategy games. Honestly, this is one of the biggest traps in the strategy games because future content always looks stronger. Future content is always exciting. Future content always feel like the answer. But I'm going to tell you about the future content. It's not always like this. Until future content become current content and something new appear in the future, the cycle never ends. So I start asking myself another question. Why do veteran players seems so much calmed during those decisions? Have you noticed that? New players panic. Veteran players usually don't. And I don't think it's because veterans know the future. I think it's because they have been wrong before. A lot. They've been seeing must-have heroes disappear. Must-have builds disappear. Must-have investments disappear. Eventually, you stop asking, is this strongest thing? And start asking, how long will this stay useful? That's a completely different mindset. And honestly, I think that's the real reason from the ring discussion. The trap isn't the new ring. The trap is believing new automatically mean better. And to some extent, I actually understand that because at the end of the day, there is always something like a power creep that is coming in this type of games. Majority of the cases, the new is meaning better, but not automatically always mean better, because sometimes it does. Sometimes the new really mean better. Sometimes it doesn't. The hard part is knowing the difference. And the players who built the strongest accounts long term usually aren't the players chasing the new release. They are the players who understand what they're giving up before they invest. This is extremely important for you to know exactly what you're going to spend, and if something happen and something new come in the game, can you actually have the flexibility to react and grab this opportunity, for example, just because you're looking to invest here and there. And that's the part most players skip. And ironically, that's usually the most important part of decision. Always, anyways, I'm curious what you guys think. Have you ever invested into something because everybody was talking about it and later regretted, or do you think those new rings really are worth replacing older investments? Let me know, because I think this is one of those discussions where the answer isn't nearly as obvious as it first look. And yeah, don't forget to hit one like on the video, guys. Also subscribe for more Age of Empire mobile videos. I'm Burgas. I wish you a great day and see you in the next video.